Hello and hi, thank you for joining us here on Epic Front. My name is David Rubura. Now, what's interesting about today's show is going to be a mixture of English and Luganda. We had some requests. This is a special show. Normal people, you're used to me hosting shows in English every now and then and all that, but today we're going to be mixed. We're going to be mixing Luganda and English. Just to let you know from the start of the show. But thank you for joining us. The week has been interesting and the month has been interesting. Last Saturday I wasn't around, but I'm glad that I'm back. Because of COVID and the flu and cough that is going on here in the United States, the weather is changing, so our body systems are also changing. But thank you for watching AITV. The politics of Uganda is always interesting and it keeps on becoming more interesting. The race for speakership is a big story for both the opposition politics and the position politics, for this case, the NRM. Within NRM, they're fighting against each other. But on the side of the opposition, the question is, are they going to support one of the two, or are they going to stand with another opposition candidate, Ssemujju Nganda? I'm joined in the studio by Kapalaga. Normally, many of you call him Kapalaga Baby. He's a very smart political analyst. He's a media personality and a well-informed NUP activist or political activist in general. When he puts on his red beret, you just know what the show is going to be all about. And on the far right is Daniel Sebugwao, who is also a political activist, he's a foreign policy expert, and an academician. Guys, I want to thank you for joining me. Actually, to say, show tugenda givuga emirundi ebiri Luzungu Luganda kumixinga what the twina time tugenda chifula chamanyi. But let's focus on the issue of the speakership, the race for speakership. It's a very interesting topic because many Ugandans are now wondering whether, for your case, Kapalaga NUP is going to support Honorable Rebecca Kadaga or Jacob Olanya or Ssemujju Nganda. And for people who are watching us online, you're going to be part of the show. Share your comments, send us your comments. We would like to read them or just have an understanding of what and how you see the politics of the country. Caps, politics where Kampala is becoming more interesting. The speakership race is becoming more interesting. People wondering, as NUP, first of all, as you're introducing yourself and greeting the viewers, as NUP, what is the strategy?
Thank you.
As you're greeting the viewers.
Thank you, Mami David. Long time.
Long time.
I'm happy to see you. Greetings, viewers. My name is Michael Kakande, also known as Kapalaga Biebe. I am an artist. I'm a Ugandan. I am the production coordinator in UP. I am happy to be here at a big front. I'm happy to be with Daniel, my time friend. I've taken time without seeing him. NUP is in business as usual, and our business is to liberate Uganda. We are looking at how best can we liberate the country from dictatorship. Uganda has been under the gun rule for more than 50 years, Ever since the colonialists, Ugandans struggled to get rid of the colonialists. Our grandparents or grandparents struggled. Our grandparents struggled to get independence. Our grandparents struggled to bring to fight, first of all, Obote, to fight Amin, to fight Obote again, to fight Lutwa.
How are you?
Museveni.
Now,
it's so unfortunate that we are fighting to remove Museveni, even after promising the Ugandans, our grandparents and parents, so much, but delivered so little. So we are just going to use the front of the parliament just as a platform to fight for the liberation of the country.
All right. So yeah, sure, Mike. I'm gonna bring you back in. Daniel, As you're greeting the viewers, first of all, you are a very strong foreign policy expert on certain key issues. Where do you think NUP is strong, and where do you think NUP is going wrong, and where do you see, what do you think the NRM is doing a greater job in their foreign policy, as we start from there? But how many folks are going to be on the speakership race? Greet your neighbors, greet the viewers.
Well, thank you, David, for having me here today. I'm so happy to be with you, my friend Kapalaga. For me, the idea you're talking about foreign policy, obviously, NUP has not defined its foreign policy agenda clearly, and that's one of the key factors that determine the dynamics of politics, whether in Uganda or globally. The good example I would give you is the war between Israel and Hamas right now. Israel is committing gross human rights violations. But human rights, freedoms, and whatever, it's a key policy for the United States. But they won't say anything because the person who's committing these violations is their close ally. The same thing with Uganda. Museveni is a key close ally to most of the Western countries.
Right.
He is protecting their interests in the region. He was a key factor in dividing the Sudan, South Sudan, and the real Sudan. And there are a lot of investments in that country. There are a lot of investments from Western powers in Congo to extract the minerals. There are a lot of investments from Western powers in Central African Republic, in Somalia. And the man in the middle of all that is Museveni. And he is the person you want to dismantle.
All right.
But as you dismantle him, you have not defined how you're going to protect the interests of these key global players. What is your position with the role of China in Africa as NUP? What is your position of the role of America in Africa as NUP? There are a lot of trade wars between Kenya and Uganda. What is your position? There's wrangles between Rwanda and Uganda. What are you saying about that as NUP?
All right.
And besides that, I think Chagulanyi has clearly defined the local politics, and he has successfully dismantled Museveni. But he has failed to dismantle his only hinge that he is still holding on to, and that's the foreign policy. Because trust me, David, Uganda is a major player in the region.
All right.
I think Chagulanyi despised the role of Uganda as a country in the region and focused on the local politics only, and he did not put much strength in his foreign policy agenda.
All right.
Clearly.
So, guys, I want to get straight away to the issue of the speakership. Uganda is now soon having a new parliament. They've already started swearing in, but they need a new leader to take over the job as the leader of the third arm of the government. But I want to ask you this question. The reason why I'm so focused on how NUP stands is because they have Kapalaga here. And NUP from the start, one, there was a promise by your organization that before you went into the retreat a couple of weeks ago, that you were going to choose who the speaker was going to be. Now, after the retreat, according to resolution, they said we have a committee that's going to focus on this, and we're just a number of days away to go, and we haven't heard from the committees that are responsible or that is responsible to come and present who NUP is going to support. We at least know that there are wrangles within NRM between Jacob Olanya and Right Honorable Kadaga. Question is, where is NUP standing on this issue?
Well, that is a very nice question. Thank you, Mami David. I want to assure you that NRM has always used and rubber-stamped all the institutions of Uganda. And NUP certainly, in this, stands with the people, if you want a straight answer.
So you were saying that NUP is not going to support any of the candidates?
Whatever is best for the people of Uganda is what NUP is going to support.
And that's true. You're suggesting that you're going to support Jacob Olanya according to the information. You, at least for you, you're such a great insider of NUP. So I want to just know the facts of what's going on in the organization.
You see, David, the parliament of Uganda has deteriorated over years.
Right, that's absolutely true.
And if you remember, Museveni was the first, I think, the first speaker of the parliament ever since NRM came into power. And look at what has happened in the parliament. Corruption after corruption after corruption after corruption. We cannot liberate any institution in Uganda if we don't uproot Museveni. Museveni is Uganda's #1 problem. Like he said in 1986, that the problem of Africa and Uganda in particular are the leaders who overstay in power. Indeed, he was right. The problem of Uganda is the leader who has overstayed in power. All the wrangles that you see now, I hear Kadaga is praising herself. You see, if it wasn't for me, you wouldn't be here.
But you have higher chances as NUP to support Honorable Kadaga because she's the woman who is going to be among the top 3. She's the only woman there, so you have high chances of supporting her.
If Kadaga is the best for Ugandans, we shall support her.
Your president.
If she's not the best for Ugandans, we shall not support her.
Now, let me get before I go to Daniel. What's your personal opinion? Kadaga, Olanya, and Semju.
My personal opinion is Uganda. We want to liberate Uganda. That is our front. We are looking at the parliament as a platform, like I said before. In 2005, Sekandi was the speaker. Kadaga was the vice speaker, the deputy speaker. They bribed MPs to change their constitution.
What is going?
Wait a minute.
What is going?
Wait a minute.
This time.
Wait a minute. In 2017, they bribed MPs. Kadaga was the speaker. Olanya was the deputy speaker. They bribed the MPs. They denied Uganda a chance of peaceful transition of power.
My question is, you as NUP promised Ugandans that you're going to come up with a committee that he was going to present who you are going to support. Did you lie?
No, we didn't.
Was that a lie?
No, we didn't. Are elections done?
Not yet.
Did they choose the speaker already?
Not yet. But with just a number of days to go, and we are seeing NRM positioning itself.
We are not NRM. We are not working on the NRM timetable. We are NUP. We are the Ugandan people. NUP represents the Ugandan majority, which elected His Excellency Robert Kyagulanyi as their president. We are not working on the NRM timetable. We don't even care whatever the NRM, whatever they do in their caucus. I hear Museveni has to decide who will come for speakership. We don't care.
I want to bring in Daniel. This is becoming interesting, Daniel. I want to ask you too. When you look at what are the chances when you look at how NUP is performing today and how they wanted to pay their attention to one of the candidates, do you see NUP supporting Kadaga for this case? Because we remember during the campaigns, Honorable Robert Kyagulanyi, who happens to be the principal of NUP, supporting her when he went to Kamali to campaign. So the question is, do you see NUP as an organization fronting Honorable Kadaga to be the leader of the House?
Yeah, according to what my friend is saying, and according to the position of NUP, NUP is in a very difficult position. Very difficult. And they have to calculate a lot because they don't want to make a mistake here in this position. First of all, NUP support base has been entirely about people who are frustrated, people who are tired of the NRM.
Right.
And that's their base. That's their foundation. And between me, we know, between me and you, we know that institutions like Parliament, are in the hands of Museveni. They are not rendering any support or benefit to the ordinary Ugandans
But-
who voted NUP. Let me unfold this. So, Bobby Wine, to keep his fan base clearly attached to him and clearly still believing in him, he should have, in my opinion, in the first place, dismissed that NUP was not going to get involved in the
speakership race?
The speakership race, because whether there is a speaker or not, an ordinary Ugandan doesn't benefit. Because Museveni will bring his laws, he will bring the army in parliament, he will force his way through. So the ordinary Ugandan doesn't benefit anything from any speaker of parliament, whether Kadaga, whether Olanya, whether Semuju. Secondly, NUP has members of parliament right now, and they are going to be involved in a lot of things in parliament, because I believe Bobby Wine has to use this opportunity to institutionalize his power, and he has to use the chance that he has members of parliament in there. So for him to have some of his things work out, he has to have a position.
All right. So
he has to choose who he wants to support as NUP.
Let's look
they
at-
are in between.
Let's look at some of the arguments that many of opposition politicians have been fronting.
Yeah.
One of them has been that the opposition doesn't have enough numbers to support a particular candidate. That has been one of the reasons.
Yeah,
Number
of
two,
course they don't.
They say that even if they don't support Kadaga and they support Olanya is so much of a Musevenism versus Kadaga, so they have high chances of supporting Rebecca Kadaga. Then there is another question that has been asked always: why not support Honorable Semujunga? And I'm lucky that even in our program today, somebody has asked the same question: why not support Semujunga, who is a potential opposition politician, if these political organizations are saying we are tired of NRM.
Why do you say we are not supporting Semoju?
So the question has always been, and I'm going to bring the question back to you, that why are people saying that, well, NUP looks at Semoju as not a potential candidate because they don't have the numbers? Let's get things straight. Number one, NRM so far has 336 members of parliament. NUP has 57 in the House. FDC has 32, DP has 9, UPC has 9, GMA has 1, and PPP has 1. So if you total up these opposition candidates, of course they cannot win. But does that stop the biggest opposition party right now, the National Unity Platform, from supporting their own? To prove to Ugandans, you said that NUP is about the people, that they don't believe in the agenda of NRM. We are going to support Semujunganda, whether we have numbers or not, because he's part of our campaign to oust the NRM regime.
You see, Mwami David, Mr. Museveni's biggest achievement is to make sure that all institutions in Uganda fail. We should be discussing what the role of the speaker is.
Absolutely, and that's where we're going.
And not who has the biggest numbers.
But it comes back to if you vote for a candidate and you say we're going to support this kind of a candidate who's not going to front your agenda, that means you're not going to...
And that is so unfortunate, because if, like I said, NUP looks at Uganda, NUP doesn't look at Bobby Wine. Actually, Bobby Wine is not going to decide this, because we have party structures. But my point is, we as a country, as Uganda, we should be discussing what is the role of the speaker. If the speaker comes out and says, for example, I am proud I made Museveni, you know, I am, Museveni is what he is because I did this. And she knows as a lawyer that what she did was wrong. We should be subjecting that to a debate. If Olanya, you've seen whatever Olanya has done in the last 2 terms where he has been the deputy speaker, whenever there is something stupid that they want to pass, Kadaga flies out, Oranya sits, and boom, it passes. We don't want that such people as
But
speakers.
you have members of parliament who are just recently declared now, and they sworn in just a couple of days. Now they're going to be they are already full members of parliament representing the people who voted for them, so they have to vote for who is going to lead them.
Yes, they will. It doesn't mean that the battle is done.
Daniel.
Yeah. Well, for me, just like my friend mentioned, we shouldn't even be talking about who, because most of the people who are standing for the speakership position, especially the viable candidates, who probably one of them will be, there are issues about them that are even questionable, that are subjected to debate, whether they are legitimate or whether they have any benefit to an ordinary Ugandan. So seriously, for me, I would be of a view that right now, NUP should buy more time. And I'm glad they bought more time to watch this incident, because if they had decided earlier that this is our position and we are going to support this particular person, that would be a contentious issue. Because FDC, we all know FDC despises NUP because it's a young party. It has come with a lot of energy. It has dismantled them so badly. They despise. So they wouldn't take Semuju Nganda's position, because Chagulanyi made several attempts to work closely with FDC, and you've had this woman who
Salam
Musumba really say things that are really are not of a brother who are clearly showing that there is no working relationship
between the two
and
organizations.
FDC is not even willing to put that relationship. And on this other side of NRM, we all know whether it's Oranya, whether it's Kadaga, it is still Museveni. So the unfortunate thing is that the opposition is fighting among itself, and we are not giving Ugandans a chance for better leadership.
So you were saying technically that the opposition somehow betrayed Ugandans who entrusted them with their power to say, hey, you're going to represent us, but after today, they're not giving them what exactly they want.
Not the entire opposition. Part of the opposition
is selfish and greedy.
Yeah, it's selfish. They don't want to have a self-determined perspective about changing the politics and the dynamics of the politics of Uganda. As long as in the opposition there are divisions.
So
we are not achieving anything here, and we are not giving Ugandans anything, because NUP, as I mentioned earlier, their foundation is about the people and the people who voted them and the people who believed in them. So if they betray that, if they choose a position that is going to betray that, the party itself is also in a very horrible position.
Kapalaga, you mentioned something that was about the roles of these leaders, the role of the speaker, and everybody know the number one role of a speaker is to lead the house. That is just a general point that everybody should be aware of, is to lead the house in all discussions. Now, as NUP, as opposition, the reason we're actually using NUP for this case is because NUP is now the biggest opposition political party in the country. It will be a disservice for us to start discussing about PPP. It will be a disservice for us to start discussing Agema. Not because they're bad organizations. No, they're great organizations that have a future. However, we have these two organizations, NRM and NUP. One may say that these organizations have lied to Ugandans so many times and they've not fulfilled their promises. Either side. These guys have to come here and defend whether they've lied to Ugandans or not. And that's why we focus on this speakership race. Because NUP as an organization promised Ugandans that they were going to present who they were going to support. A number of weeks have passed. We're still waiting. And if it so happens that they've elected that person, without their approval, we'll come back and discuss about it. Guys, I want
You see, David, before I can't just leave you to to shoot at me and just go away with it. I've told you here on this show that we still have time to elect the speaker, and just like you said, NUP told you that it has a committee that is constituted to decide on who to support or whatever, to decide when it comes to speakership. And just like I asked you, they haven't voted for the speaker.
Right.
So I think it is a disservice to say that NUP deceived Ugandans. It hasn't come out with a position. No, sir. NUP will come out with a position and you will get to know. And that position will be the position of Ugandans, because NUP was elected by Ugandans. It has the majority of Ugandans in Uganda. When it comes to the voters, when it comes to the people, so whatever NUP is going to decide will be pro-Uganda.
Sounds good to me. Now let's leave that the rest of speakership, because we at least know now we know where you stand. You're not the spokesperson of NUP, and I understand, but your views give me a better perspective of what NUP is thinking. Just because I think you want insider in NUP, is that correct or not?
I am the production coordinator.
That sounds good. For NUP in general, or just in the diaspora?
In the diaspora.
In the diaspora. So that gives me that you are the right person why I had to ask all these questions. But let's get to the issue of leader of opposition. And the reason why this shows so much focus on Uganda, basically on this key position, is they are the key foundations of all these policies that come in the country. And you have a leader of opposition. You have the responsibility to choose that person. Are we seeing Meradil Megasaguna coming up as the leader of opposition? If I bring in Daniel?
You see, again, I still want to drag this debate on what is the role.
But you agree he's a potential candidate?
Of course, Seguna is a good person, just like anyone in Parliament at the NUP ticket. We never sent. We are not like Museveni, who told people that you can send me Bidomola if provided they get up and vote. That is not NUP. Even Sejirinya can be a very good speaker, only that he might just lack the experience and all that. But the role, I actually don't like calling it a leader of opposition. I like calling it leader of the minority, because just like Obote did in 1980, Museveni has it is called gerrymandering. They create small portions when they see, you see, NRM I think has support in this region. They create they create a district, they create a constituency such that they have such number. That is why we have all that number in the parliament. Just imagine you're in America, David. How many senators does America have?
We have less. That's absolutely.
But how many states does America have?
They have many.
Even I think how big is Massachusetts in regards to Uganda?
Actually, equal.
I think they might be equal, and that is just one state. But Massachusetts is represented by 2 people in the Senate. But because Museveni wants, first of all, to appease his brothers and friends, he creates. You saw what happened to this guy who was standing with Kasaija. They just created some position and told him, hey, you go and lead that. That's
the government that cares for these people. That's you've already said that.
No,
cares for employing Ugandans. That's one of creating employment opportunities. That the young people have been arguing that, well, the country is in a disastrous moment, And so we need to employ young people. We need to provide jobs for everyone. So if one MP is hired, then that MP will hire many other people. Then will come in.
Wow. Wow. Before he comes in, do you know how much Uganda is going to spend just to pay those MPs? Do you know that just in this coming week or two, Uganda is going to spend 200 million times 529
Members of parliament.
to buy cars. Do you know how much ambulances that money can buy?
But the problem is, even the members of opposition have never come out to disagree with that. They've already supported it. So that's a point.
They don't have a front. You've just said here the NRM has the biggest number of MPs.
All right, guys. So
Okay, for me, David, this is my position.
Yeah.
This leader of opposition idea, it is a very
Leader of the minority.
leader of the minority, as my friend wants us to state it.
Right.
It's the reason why that position is there is to create a second government in case Museveni's government is out. This structure that is being built
Right.
by the minority in the parliament can replace that government. So the leader of the minority, as my friend says, is at the level of a prime minister who is the head of government. So they have to select a person, honestly, who is capable of that. And for me, as I mentioned in the beginning, David, let me make this clear.
Yep.
They are in Uganda, the dynamics of politics in Uganda, winning an election and declared as a winner are distinctively two different things. One of the reasons why Chagulanyi won the election and was not declared as a winner, and nobody was willing to fight for him, even local Ugandans, is because Chagulanyi did not have a defined structure that is so convincing that he can take on this country. Right. First of all, for me, as a foreign policy expert, his foreign policy agenda was not clearly defined in his build up to the election. And as you know, that's one of the key things that define the government. What are the interests of Uganda?
To our friend countries.
To our friends in the region. What are Uganda's interests with Kenya? What are Uganda's interests with Rwanda, Congo, Sudan, South Sudan, Tanzania? NUP did not define all that stuff. Secondly, how are we going to have a relationship with key players, international key players like India, China, America, Europe? NUP did not define that. So
right.
This structure in parliament is an opportunity for NUP to build a viable institution that can replace Museveni's government. Obviously, Museveni is not going to give them that
the opportunity. Right.
He's actually going to criminalize, and when I see where this is going, he's going to criminalize every activity of NUP. So they have to fight twice harder than they had to before to build that structure.
All right.
So for me, it is an opportunity, and they have to be very wise in selecting people who are going to be part of these committees, because you're not going to put people who just are going to sit in committees and enjoy the tea
right.
and go out talk before the press. They have to select people, and NUP has to invest in its members of parliament.
All right,
they have to teach them policies, dynamics of politics. They have to talk about key issues like foreign policy, economics, health, education, all these things. They have to talk to them in a more detailed way and in a more understandable way, because they have to build a government that is alternative to Museveni's government.
All right. Then I want to thank you.
Before the end of this show,
right.
I'm sorry, but before the end of this show, I am going to gift my good friend here the NUP manifesto. of
Yeah, because-
2021, and
I had the
probably
manifesto and I read it.
and probably you will. I think you were in a hurry because the elections were
Yeah,
near.
but,
You'll have to read and you will have to read and understand what NUP's position is as regards to. You see, you can't have you can't have a foreign policy when you don't have the local policy.
but if that's
You
the case-
can only build from the local policy to make sure you
but Kapalaga, you also
you are in good books with your development partners. You are in good books with the friends, with the colleagues,
but you also,
the neighbors.
you also
Let me tell you
Oh,
something.
yeah, sure. I'm giving you just
Even
a-
if
just
you're
a
not
finish
in
and I'll be out
good
of
books,
here.
let me tell you something. Even if you're not in, the world doesn't care about being a good person. Museveni has killed Ugandans and the world knows that. It's on record. There are videos. There are people saying they are people being tortured. But trust me, the Americans will even send their ambassador to go out at his swearing in ceremony. Why? This guy is protecting millions and millions of dollars for American businesses in the region, from Congo to Central African Republic to Kenya to Somalia, South Sudan and Central Sudan. They will never lift a finger to condemn Museveni. They will do it perhaps for the news. Even Museveni will come out pretending like he's fighting them purposely for the news, but in the background, he even have lobbyists here who go and meet President Joe Biden directly without even the Senate, and decisions are made. That's why I'm saying the manifesto is not helping. Chagulanyi has to come out and define these things clearly, the way he has defined to us that we need rule of law, we need democracy, we need institutions. That's the same way he has to define his foreign policy agenda in the region. This is our stand with our trade wars with Nairobi as NUP.
All right,
This is our stand with the conflict between Uganda and Rwanda. He has to define such things so that the world can
you see,
not keeping them in a book.
So we're gonna
just a moment. Njagala nakwogera mu Luganda kino. Ekintamya bano abasomye abasoma is to think that Uganda is of course part of the global village, right?
Exactly, and it has to be respected. For that.
Exactly. But we tetulina kye tufuna mu global village ng'abantu baffe bafa.
But
we can't gain anything when the government comes and just picks out people and takes them to wherever they take them, they torture them. That is our main priority as per now. If you want the foreign policy, go to the books, we have that. But tunamala okujjako Museveni nga tujja nawe nga tukubuuza kiki kyoyagala nga tugamba this is
don't look for NUP's manifesto to understand NUP's position on its relationship, Uganda's relationship with America.
All right.
That is why there are manifestos anyway.
Bobby Wine will tell Ugandans to go on the street and riot. Museveni can kill all Ugandans, but as long as he's protecting America's interests, no one will mention that.
All right, guys,
no one.
Guys, I want to thank you.
No one. Trust me about that.
And you guys,
I am going to send you the NUP manifesto. You will read it.
I have it,
right.
but as long as you don't define it
All right,
to the
so,
public,
guys, I want to
the
thank you.
people,
Kapaga,
no
I'm
one's going
glad-
to look for it and read it.
you know, as we're ending the show, you mentioned about foreign policy, and it's great that we have an expert on the panel today. Kaparaga, first of all, congratulations when you guys went to diaspora. To Washington D.C. to fight against some of the big firms that are representing Uganda in the United States. One of their top executives was removed, and that was a great move. But here's a problem: President Museveni is putting a lot of money in making sure that he has foreign individuals, lobbyists, who are bringing the goodness of his government to the eyes of the American people, to the eyes of the European people, to the eyes of the Asian people. But as your position, not even at the local level, I mean Africa, have you tried to bring on board Kenya, Nigeria, or even just within East Africa? You have not come out to get that support. Museveni came in power using that support in Tanzania. You, as opposition, you're just playing the local politics as usual. Are you going to defend that forever? Or
You see, David, I want you to appreciate the environment that we are playing in.
Right.
Much as Kenyatta comes out and bashes Museveni for ruling over for all those years, he comes out, you know, when he invites him, and he comes as a diplomat,
So
as a president.
That's political maturity. We should put it that way.
Exactly. It doesn't mean that Kenyatta now agrees with Museveni for ruling for 40 years. And Kenyatta is not going to come and tell Museveni, you see, now I think you've overruled, and you're the person who is killing the East African integration. Please step down. At least Kagame was brave enough to mention that. But you have to appreciate that we are not still going to come and tell you, David, you know what? We've talked to the Shekedi. Now this is our this is what we said. We talked with whoever is coming in Kenya. You know very well that Kenyatta's term is done. So just count how many presidents has Kenya had.
Let me ask you this question. I think you must have some inside information before I let you guys go. Do you think the opposition in Uganda, NUP, is in good terms with the opposition in Kenya?
Definitely. So, why not?
So, because there are higher chances that...
Not even the opposition, even the government.
There's chance that Raila Odinga become the next president. Do you have the support of Raila Odinga?
Yes, we do. We do have any support that we need. Because at least with the East African integration, you've had Kagame. When Kagame... I think you've seen that video. When Kagame said that when he was the leader of the East African community.
Right.
And that is what he said as a leader. In other words, he was pointing figures to Museveni. Digundi okuze. Lwaki tova ku banno.
I want to thank you.
David, let me conclude this issue here. Look, whether presidents and countries around East Africa like Museveni or not, countries everywhere in the world engage in politics and relationship solely for one thing: their interests. Kenya will deal with Uganda based on their interests. As Kenya, what are we getting out of our relationship with Uganda? America will deal with Uganda based on America's interests. They don't care about human rights. So they don't care about rule of law. As long as they can do business in Uganda and American companies get money from Uganda to America. As long as strategically security is here in the region and Museveni provides the security for American businesses to get money out of East Africa, they don't care. Trust me, I'm a student of international relations. I've done research about these things. No country deals with another country because they care about the people of that country.
Mommy student.
They care.
Mommy student.
They care about...
You're very right, and I agree with you.
They care about their interests.
Exactly, but we don't have our interests yet.
Guys,
how can we care about someone else's interests when we don't have our interests yet?
I'll make
Ugandans voted for Honorable Kyagulanyi.
Yes, but the reason why Kyagulanyi is the president is because he did not clearly define how he's going to align our interest as Uganda with the interest of...
No! The reason why Kyagulanyi is not president is because Museveni has guns. And he used those guns against the people of Uganda.
No.
Gentlemen,
let me tell you.
Gentlemen, I want to thank you so much. We'll add from there. And to our viewers, thank you so much for always watching AI TV. Coming up next is Your Voice, your second political show of the weekend. My name is David Rubura, Kapalaga, Daniel. I want to thank you so much for the discussion. I hope to have you again, both of you. And for our viewers, always think about where the future of your country is going. The education system is still down. The general infrastructure is still down. The whole system is still down. The question is, are you going to keep on voting for the same people, or are you going to change? And if you're going to keep voting for the same people, what are you going to ask them to do? The parliament has just been sworn in again. Question is, do you think they're going to serve your interests as you, the voters, or you're going to do the same business as usual? NRM has 330 plus people, members of parliament who are representing you, some of which have been in the same parliament passing laws that you claim are against your rights, are against your interests. Have a good week. Think about that. See you next Saturday. My name again is David Rubura from the Epic Front. We're located here in Boston. Have a good week and see you soon.